Shri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Reading from Chaitanya Bhagavata, Adi-Khanda, Chapter 14. The victorious journey to East Bengal and the disappearance of Lakshmi Devi. The disappearance of Lakshmi Devi. Whoa. Glory, glory to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Glory, glory to the Lord, who's very dear to Nityananda and whose transcendental form is eternal. Glory, glory to he who is the life of Pradyumna Mishra. Glory to he who is the life and wealth of Sri Paramananda Puri. Glory, glory to he who is the life and wealth of all the Vaishnavas. O Lord, please give your merciful glance, and thus save all the conditioned souls. O brother, with a single mind, please hear the Adi-Khanda, which describes how Lord Krishna enjoyed pastimes as a Brahmin. Accompanied by his students at every moment, he who is the king of Vaikuntha enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning. Accompanied by his students in town after town in Navadvip, the Lord enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning. Everyone in Navadvip said, Nibai Pandit is the crest jewel of teachers. Very, very rich men would at once descend from the palanquins and very respectfully bow down before him. Simply by seeing the Lord, everyone became filled with awe. In Navadvip, there was not a single person who was not submissive to him. The pious people in Navadvip would always send foodstuffs to the Lord's home. The supremely generous Lord would always give charity to the distressed. When he saw a person in distress, Lord Chaitanya would always very kindly give food, clothing, and money. Guests would always visit the Lord's home. The Lord always received everyone with appropriate hospitality. One day, the Lord happily invited 10 or 20 sannyasis. He sent a messenger to tell his mother that 20 sannyasis would soon come to take their meal. There was nothing in the house. In her heart, Mother Sachi thought, how will I feed 20 sannyasis? As she was worrying in this way, someone, I do not know who, suddenly brought all the needed foodstuffs. Lakshmi Devi then cooked a feast, and then the Lord came home. After giving them their sitting places, the Lord happily fed the sannyasis. In this way, the merciful Lord received guests and asked how he could serve them. Lord Chaitanya gave this instruction about a householder's duty. Hospitality to guests is at the root of a householder's duty. I say that a householder who is not hospitable to guests is lower than a bird or beast. A householder who, because previous bad karma, has nothing to give, may give a straw sitting mat, water, and a place to rest. In the Manu Sanhita it is said, a grass sitting mat, a place to rest, water to wash the feet, and sweet words are never unavailable in the homes of pious persons. A person who, unable to give anything else, gives pleasant words, is not considered inhospitable. A person who, with an honest heart, offers hospitality as far as he is able, is called a gracious host. Thus, the Supreme Lord showed hospitality to his guests, very respectfully asking how he could serve them. Those guests were very fortunate, for Sri Lakshmi Narayan personally gave them food. They ate the wonderful foods that Brahma and the demigods at every moment yearned to taste. Some people said, the guests who ate then were not ordinary persons. They must have been Brahma, Shiva, Shukadev, Vyas, Narada, and other exalted persons. They must have been demigods and perfect sages who can do whatever they like. Aware that Sri Lakshmi Narayan had descended to this world in Navadvip, these demigods and sages came here in the form of sannyasis. Others would not have had the power to do as they did. Who but Brahma and the demigods and sages could have taken that meal? Someone else said, "The Lord has descended to this world in order to relieve the sufferings of the conditioned souls. He always delivers the suffering souls. Brahma and all the demigods and sages are like the primary and secondary limbs of the Supreme Lord. They are his associates always." Still, in this incarnation, the Lord has declared, "To all living entities I will give what even Brahma and the demigods cannot attain." In his home, the Supreme Lord feeds the distressed conditioned souls. He does this to deliver them from the material world. Devoted to her husband with a happy heart, Lakshmi Devi cooked his meals. Seeing Lakshmi's virtues, fortunate Sachi found her joy increase hour by hour. From dawn she was busy with household chores. She did everything. That was her nature. In the auspicious circle of the temple room, she happily drew a conch shell and a chakra. She prepared fragrances, flowers, incense, lamps, scented water for the worship of the Lord. She always served Tulsi. With a respectful heart, she served Sachi. Seeing Lakshmi's virtues, Lord Chaitanya was very satisfied at heart, although with his mouth he never spoke any words about it. Some days Lakshmi would place the Lord's feet on her lap, massage his soles at every moment. Sometimes Sachi would see a wonderful flame of light come from the soles of her son's feet. Some days Mother Sachi could smell the fragrance of lotus flowers everywhere in the house. Fragrance had no end. In this way, Sri Sri Lakshmi Narayan stayed in Navadvip. Because they had concealed their true identities, no one knew who they were. One day, the supremely independent Lord decided he wished to see East Bengal. The Lord spoke these words to his mother. "O mother, I will go on a journey for some days." To Lakshmi the Lord said, "Always serve my mother." Taking with him some of his kinsmen and students, the Lord happily went to East Bengal. Whoever saw the Lord on his travels could not turn his eyes away from him. Seeing him, the women said, "I offer my respectful obeisances to the fortunate woman who gave birth to such a son." The fortunate, glorious woman who has such a husband has certainly made her birth as a woman a great success. Gazing at the Lord as he walked on the path, the men and women happily spoke in this way, again and again. The demigods yearned to see the Lord. By the Lord's mercy, these people saw him. After some days of slow travel in this way, Lord Chaitanya came to the banks of the Padmavati. The Padmavati's waters were beautiful with many waves. Its banks were beautiful with gardens and forests. After happily gazing at the Padmavati, the Lord and his companions bathed in her waters. From that day, the Padmavati became fortunate and glorious. It became able to purify all the worlds. The Padmavati river was very beautiful to see. Its current, waves, and banks were very beautiful and charming. Gazing at the Padmavati, the Lord became very happy. Because of her good fortune, the Lord stayed there for some days. It was her good fortune that every day the Lord played in the Padmavati's waters, as before he happily played with his students in the waters of the Ganga. Because of Lord Chaitanya traveling there, to this day East Bengal is very fortunate and glorious. Hearing that Lord Chaitanya was staying on the banks of the Padmavati, everyone there became filled with joy. In every direction were the words, "Nimai Pandit, the crest jewel of teachers, has come here." With gifts in their hands, the fortunate Brahmins at once came to meet him. They approached the Lord, bowed down, presented their gifts, and said, "We are all very fortunate to have your glorious presence in our country. Here people work to collect money so they may go to Navadvip and study under your guidance. Now, without any effort on our part, your lordship has come to our door. You must be an incarnation of Brihaspati. No other teacher is like you. Then again, it is not right to compare you to Brihaspati. You must be an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. That is what I think within my heart." But no one knew the Lord himself can be as learned as you are. No one but the Lord himself can be as learned as you are. No one has in their heart the wealth of knowledge that you have. We place this request before you. Please give a little learning to us. O jewel of the Brahmins, We read and teach and hear your commentaries. Please accept us all as your students. Please place your glory in our country." Smiling, the Lord assured them that he would stay. Thus, for some days, the Lord enjoyed pastimes in East Bengal. Because of this fortunate event, even today all the men and women in East Bengal are followers of Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement. Gradually, some sinners came and destroyed everything. Interested only in filling their bellies, these sinners claim, "I'm Lord Ramachandra." Some of these sinners gave up chanting the holy names of Lord Krishna. Instead, they chanted the name Narayan, thinking that the name referred to themselves. I can see the truth of these people. Why are they not ashamed to make these useless claims about themselves, claims that are like a heap of ashes? In Radhadesh lives a great Brahmin demon. In his heart he's a demon, but he has a glass facade of being a Brahmin. This sinner claims that he's Krishna and calls himself Gopal. Everyone else called him the jackal. Only Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one else. Degraded persons who claim to be God are only a pathetic heap of ashes. Raising my arms, I proclaim the truth. Lord Chaitanya is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, who is a master of countless universes. By remembering his holy name, one becomes free of all material bondage. By remembering his servants, one is victorious everywhere. Look, his glories are sung in all the worlds. Leave the wrong path. Worship Lord Chaitanya's feet. In this way, Lord Chaitanya, who is the king of Vaikuntha, stayed in East Bengal, happily enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning. In this way, the Lord enjoyed pastimes as a great scholar. Always looking at the Padmavati, he happily traveled. In East Bengal, the Lord had thousands and thousands of students. I do not know what it was like, who were the Lord's students or where they stayed. Hearing of his arrival, the people of East Bengal flocked to the Lord. They declared, "I will go and study under Nimai Pandit." Casting his merciful glance on the people, the Lord gave lectures. In 2 months, all his students were learned scholars. Hundreds and hundreds of students became learned and returned to their homes. Then many others came, also to hear from the Lord. In this way, the king of Vaikuntha stayed in East Bengal, enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning. Meanwhile, in Navadvip, Lakshmi was very unhappy, at heart to be separated from her Lord. Still, the goddess did not say anything. The goddess always served Mother Sachi. From the time of her Lord's departure, she did not eat anything. In name only did she accept a little food. In her heart she was very unhappy to be separated from her Lord. The Lord was her only master. Every night she wept. Not for a moment was she happy at heart. Lakshmi could not bear separation from her Lord. She longed to be with him, leaving behind, in this earthly world, a false image of herself. She went, unseen, to her master's side. By the Ganga's bank, in meditation, holding her master's lotus feet to her breast, she departed in glory. I do not have the power to describe Sachi's suffering. Hearing Mother Sachi weep, wood began to melt. I do not have the power to describe all of her sufferings. Therefore, I will describe them briefly in the form of sutras. Hearing this news, all the pious people became very unhappy. They all came and acted appropriately. After staying for some days in East Bengal, the Lord wished to return home. Hearing the Lord will return home, everyone came and gave gifts as far as they were able. They brought gold, silver, water pots, splendid sitting mats, glorious rugs, and many kinds of clothing. Everyone brought whatever was the best in his house and happily gave it to the Lord. Casting his glance of mercy on everyone, Lord Chaitanya, who was Lord Hari himself, accepted the gifts. Happily bidding farewell to everyone, Lord Chaitanya returned to his own home. Wishing to study under the Lord at his own place, many students accompanied him. At that time there was a pious and intelligent Brahmin named Tapan Mishra. He could not understand what was the goal of life and the way to attain it. He asked about it, but no one could answer his questions. Day and night he chanted the mantra to his worshipful deity, but there was no peace in his heart, for he did not know how to attain the goal of life. One time, at the end of night, because of his great good fortune, this Brahmin saw an auspicious dream. A divine form came before the Brahmin and told him a secret. Please listen, O saintly Brahmin. Don't worry, be peaceful at heart. Go to Nimai Pandit. He will explain to you the goal of life and the way to attain it. He's not a human being. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Narayan Rishi, enjoying pastimes in a human-like form. He's the origin of all the universes. Do not tell the secret, which is hidden even from the Vedas. If you tell it, you will suffer birth after birth. Then the divine form disappeared. The Brahmin woke up. After seeing that dream, the Brahmin wept. Again and again he thought in his heart, how fortunate I am. Thinking in this way, he at once went to meet the Lord. Supremely handsome and charming, Lord Chaitanya was sitting, surrounded by his students. The Brahmin approached, fell before the Lord's feet, and then stood in that assembly with folded hands. And the Brahmin said, I'm a very fallen and lowly person. With your merciful glance, please deliver me from this material world. I do not have any knowledge of the goal of life or the way to attain it. Please be merciful and explain them to me. Material sense pleasures do not please my heart. How will I make my heart peaceful? Please tell me, O merciful one. The Lord said, O Brahmin, how can I describe your good fortune? You desire to worship Lord Krishna perfectly. Devotional service to the Lord is very difficult to attain. It's like an ocean that has no shore. The Supreme Lord himself explains how it should be done in each yuga. In each of the 4 yugas, the Supreme Lord personally establishes the appropriate one of the 4 yuga dharmas. When he has established the yuga dharma, he returns to his own abode. The Lord declares in Bhagavata, Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chadushkritam dharma samstarpanataya sambhavami yuge yuge. In order to deliver the pious, annihilate the miscreants, as well as reestablish the principles of religion, I invent myself, millennium after millennium. In Srimad Bhagavatam it said, Your son Krishna appears as an incarnation in every millennium. In the past, he assumed 3 different colors, white, red, yellow, and now he has appeared in a blackish color. In each of the 4 yugas, one of the 4 yuga dharmas is the cause of auspiciousness for the conditioned souls. In the Kali Yuga, the yuga dharma is Nam Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In Srimad Bhagavatam it said, Whatever result was obtained in Satya Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's feet, can also be attained in Kali Yuga, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore in Kali Yuga, the sacrifice of chanting the Lord's holy names is the best spiritual activity. No other dharma is better than it. The Vedas do not have the power to describe the glories of a person who day and night tastes and hears the holy names of the Lord. Please listen, O Tapan Mishra. Neither austerities nor sacrifices are the dharma for Kali Yuga. Truly fortunate is the person who worships Lord Krishna. Therefore, please go home, worship Lord Krishna, avoid duplicity, and keep Lord Krishna as the only goal of your life. The goal of life and the way to attain it are this: meet with others and together chant the holy names of Lord Hari. In the Brihad Naradiya Purana it said, Harinam, 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 Kem Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, 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 Gadhiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. And here are the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 16 names, 32 syllables, are called the Mahamantra. When you chant these names again and again, pure love of Krishna will sprout within you. Then you will understand what is the goal of life and the way to attain it. Hearing this teaching from the Lord, the Brahmin bowed down again and again. Tapan Mishra said, "Give the order, I will join your company." The Lord replied, "Go at once to Varanasi. There you will meet me again and have my association. There I will explain to you everything about the goal of life and the way to attain it." After speaking these words, the Lord embraced him. The Brahmin was filled with spiritual love. The hairs on his body stood erect. Embraced by the king of Vaikuntha, the Brahmin was happy with spiritual bliss. At the time of the Lord's departure, the Brahmin grasped the Lord's feet. In a secluded place, he described his dream. Hearing it, the Lord replied, "It is true, but do not tell it to anyone." Again and again, with great earnestness, the Lord forbade him to reveal the dream. Then the Lord smiled, stood up, and at an auspicious moment began his journey. Thus, after blessing the land of East Bengal and making it fortunate, Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Hari himself, returned to his own home. Bringing with him many gifts, at sunset the Lord arrived at his home. The Lord offered Vrndavana obeisances at his mother's feet, and all the gifts he gave to her. Then, accompanied by his students, the Lord quickly went to dive into the Ganga. Then, unhappy at heart, and accompanied by her associates, Mother Sachi began to cook. Accompanied by his associates, Lord Chaitanya, the Supreme Shiksha Guru, respectfully offered Vrndavana obeisances to the Ganga. For some moments he played in the water, then he bathed. Then, after seeing the Ganga, he returned home. Then, after performing his regular duties, Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Hari himself, sat down to eat. After enjoying his meal, he who is the king of Vaikuntha entered the room that was a Vishnu temple. Then the Lord left the temple room to talk with his kinsmen. Everyone gathered around him in the house. The Lord very happily talked and joked with everyone. He described his activities in East Bengal. Laughing and laughing, the Lord imitated the East Bengali dialect. Although they were all grieving, none of the kinsmen described Lakshmi's glorious departure from this world. After saying for some moments, the kinsmen took their leave and returned to their homes. Sitting down, the Lord chewed betel nuts and spoke many joking words. Unhappy at heart, Sachi Devi stayed hidden in the house. She did not come before her son. The Lord came before his mother. He gazed at her unhappy face. The Lord spoke sweet words to his mother. "Mother, I see you're unhappy. What is the reason? I have happily returned from a faraway country. You should be happy at heart. Instead, I see from your face you're unhappy. Look, tell me the truth, mother. What is the reason?" Hearing her son's words, Mother Sachi lowered her face. She wept. Unhappy, she gave no answer. The Lord said, "Mother, I know everything. I know that some inauspiciousness has come to your daughter-in-law." Everyone said, "Listen, O Pandit, your Brahmani has gone to the Ganga." Hearing of his wife's glorious departure from this world, Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Hari himself, bowed his head for a moment. Voluntarily accepting the unhappiness of separation from his beloved, who is the essence of all the Vedas, stood silent. For a moment he imitated the unhappiness of ordinary men. Then, with a peaceful heart, he began to speak. The Lord said, in Srimad Bhagavatam it is said, "Because of bodily attachment, one is regarded as a husband or son. These illusory relationships are caused by misunderstanding." The Lord said, "Mother, why are you unhappy? How can I break what is destined to be? No one can stop time. That is why the Vedas say the material world is not eternal. The whole material world is subject to the Lord's will. Who but He can bring people together and then separate them from each other? Therefore this was done by the wish of the Supreme Lord Himself. Why then should you be unhappy? Who but a very pious and fortunate woman would thus attain the Ganga before her husband does?" Thus the Lord consoled his mother. Accompanied by his kinsmen, the Lord performed the proper rituals. Hearing the Lord's very sweet nectar words, everyone became free of all unhappiness. In this way, Lord Chaitanya, who is the king of Vaikuntha, enjoyed pastimes of tasting the nectar of learning. The two moons, Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Sri Nityananda, are my life and soul. I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their feet.